Welcome to the Pathways to Wellbeing podcast, where we explore holistic approaches to health, wellness, and personal growth. My name is Sophia Soul, the co-creator of Sacred You. Today, we are joined by the incredible Therese Tucker, an intuitive self-empowerment coach, psychic medium, and the author of Confidence is Magic. Therese has the unique ability to guide people through their own intuitive awakenings, helping them access deep self-trust and their own spiritual gifts. In this episode, we will dive deep into the Karmic life review process, how our subconscious minds shape our daily lives, and how to release those limiting beliefs that hold us back from our true potential. I do hope you enjoy the conversation for today. And if you would like to support Sacred You, please hit that subscribe button, give us a like, and to find out about everything that Sacred You offers, check us out at www.sacredyou, that's the letter U, .love. Remember, the power to change is within you. Now let's unlock it together and enjoy the conversation for today. Welcome to today's episode, and with me today we have the beautiful Therese Tucker. Therese, thank you so much for joining us. I'm really excited to talk to you.
Oh, Sophia, I'm so excited to get to speak with you as well.
Yes, so we have a very interesting topic, something that I'm very interesting. It's been part of my whole life, and that is the Karmic life review process, and how we can also let go of all these self-limiting beliefs that just keep holding us back.
Yes.
So
yes. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Please go. I was just going to say, tell us, how did you get into all this karma stuff?
All the karma stuff. Yeah. So it starts with just a deep interest in metaphysics. Really, I got into metaphysics at the age of 15. So I started learning about A Course in Miracles, working with my own guides and angels. And before all of that, I had a natural connection to spirit, as all of us do. But I was very active with that. So I was aware that the spirit was around and I was communicating with the other side. And I thought that was normal, thought that everybody proceeded like that, and found out that through trying to share my experiences with my parents, I was told I had a very active imagination, and kind of left it at that, which was fine at the time. And going along my way, getting to the age of 15, finding Marianne Williamson's work and listening to A Course in Miracles really felt like it tapped in to a truth that I knew deep in my heart. So that got me really excited. And at the same time, I wanted to connect with spirit, but I'd stopped believing that I could. And so there was this whole period of time where I called myself like a psychic in the closet, because I could do it, but I was afraid to tell people. I was afraid to own it. And I was afraid that I would be seen as like an imposter, or that I'm faking this. And so I really kept it to myself. And it was something that I would do with people. And I'd take friends and we'd go into meditative states, and we would connect with our guides and clear our energy fields and all this stuff. And it really wasn't until about 2015 when I came out of the psychic closet and started to own it. And of course, the more you open yourself up to spirit, and the more you open yourself up to your gifts, it will meet you there. So one of the things I'm most passionate about is letting people know that I don't believe that psychic phenomena or intuition is something that is only given to a few people. I believe that these are human traits that we are all meant to access. But what stops us, of course, is those self-limiting beliefs that we talk about. And that's where I really got into the coaching side of it. And so I work now as a self-empowerment coach as well as a psychic channel. And I do a lot of other things too. I'm a multi-passionate person. But one of the things I'm really passionate about is helping people access their intuition and those really esoteric abilities that a lot of us, we long for it because we know on a deep subconscious level that this is actually ours to use. And yet so many of us block ourselves from being able to use it. But with accessing those abilities comes a lot of cleanup work that we have to do, the soul growth work that's required. So as we're accessing deeper levels of our abilities, we're also being asked to use them wisely. And in doing so, we have to do that spiritual growth work so that we can develop into our mastery. So they come together, I find. So the karmic life review process is a phrase that I coined around the healing work that your subconscious mind initiates as you go deeper into your own intuition and your own spiritual gifts.
Absolutely. And thank you. Thank you for sharing that. And I love everything that you have shared. And I definitely want to go into more, including the Course of Miracles, which is something that not everyone, a lot of people in the Sacred You community has studied. We used to start at 5:30 in the morning with the Course of Miracles. It's a powerful book.
It is a powerful book, yes.
So thank you for sharing that. But I'd love to know, Therese, going into what you just talked about, the subconscious mind, how do you feel our subconscious mind influences on a daily basis without us even realizing it? And that's the thing, without us even realizing it.
This is a great question. So the way that I understand it is our subconscious mind is continuously responding to us. It also, I feel like there is definitely a link between the subconscious mind and our own Akashic records, because our subconscious mind holds all information that we are consciously receiving, as well as the stuff we're not clocking consciously. So many, like terabytes, if you will, of information are going into us on a daily basis. So this is one of the ways it supports us. And this is, I believe, how the intuition functions, is actually the information that we are seeking. We've already encountered it, whether we're conscious of it or not. Our conscious mind might not recognize it, but our subconscious mind will store it. And when we're activating our intuition, we are fishing, if you will, within the subconscious mind to pull out this relevant information to the question at hand. I believe that the subconscious mind is actually quite healing part of ourself as well. So it is holding all the information about the trauma healing that we need to do, the inner child work that we need to do, as well as the full range, our full access of abilities, even the ones we're, again, unconscious of. So this reminds me of a story like when you hear about somebody who worked their entire life as a lawyer and then one day picks up a paintbrush, and the next thing you know, they're an artist, right? They've quit the law practice and they're an artist, and they talk about this like this is some that they had no idea it was already inside of them, right? The subconscious mind already knew all this about them, and it was holding this information and simply waiting to release it into their consciousness when they were ready and able to hold that information. So I believe that our subconscious mind acts as both a healer as well as a protector, because when we go look at the other side, things like trauma, right? We will not be shown that traumatic information until our own subconscious mind recognizes us as being prepared to receive it. And that very much connects with that karmic life review process that I mentioned before.
Yes, it's an interesting topic that you could go down a rabbit warren, plus a minefield as well. But because, we go right back into all different types of karma and how that affects us, our past life karma and everything, how that's affecting us in our present day.
Yes.
So, very interesting. And can I ask you, Therese, a personal question, if you can share, is, we're talking about self-limiting beliefs, okay? How have you uncovered them for yourself, and how did you become aware of it?
Oh, that's a really good question. Okay, let's start with how did I become aware of it? This is what I find for myself personally, as well as the clients I work with. You will become aware of your self-limiting beliefs as soon as you leave your comfort zone. So as soon as you try to stretch yourself or grow, that's exactly where you're going to meet your self-limiting beliefs. And an example of this for myself is all my own intuitive journey, really owning my own unique gifts and abilities in this area, in this spiritual area, has been a series of me having to break through a self-limiting belief. And usually it seems to be a theme, at least in my own life, that the self-limiting belief is always around permission. Like, I don't have permission to do this. No one said that I could do this. And so therefore I find that every time I try to expand myself, I come up against that I'm looking for some arbitrary authority figure to empower me to be able to express what I'm holding inside. And always the answer for me in breaking through that is when I finally get it. And you'd think I'd get it after a few, like 500 times, but I need to do it every time, is I have to go through my struggle of, nobody said I could do this. What if I'm not allowed somehow? And then as soon as I realize the one I'm waiting for to validate me or give me that permission is myself, as soon as I realize that, it's like it breaks, the spell breaks, and I'm able to then proceed forward. So it's really interesting because many times our self-limiting beliefs are many times formed early on in life, and they're formed at a young age when our subconscious mind was the dominant part of our mind that was perceiving. And I love the subconscious mind deeply, but at that age, it's open to interpretation. And so there's this young, still forming mind trying to interpret the world around them and then taking in that information. And somehow my brain took it in as, I need permission to move forward. And so what you're going to find is every time you try to stretch yourself out of your current comfort zone, you will find your self-limiting beliefs. That's so easy to find. Just take a risk, right? Take a risk in life and go after something you want, and you'll find them.
And that is so true, isn't it? So very true. So true. When you're wanting to grow, when you're wanting to stretch yourself, when you're wanting to start something new, then yes, all those limiting beliefs come knocking at your door in a
Yes.
way, like a huge, huge way. And also, and I totally agree with you that most of them have come from early childhood, when our subconscious mind was definitely predominant because we hadn't even evolved properly consciously as a child. We're still absorbing every single thing, and that, without realizing it, affects us for the rest of the life.
Absolutely. And notice how, and I think you make such a good point there, because if you listen to many of the self-limiting beliefs that you've heard within yourself as well as working with others, they're really simple thoughts, right? The thought that I just shared is, I'm not allowed to. That's a simple thought. And look how I can apply it in all these different ways. Another one that we see a lot, and I'm sure, Sophia, you see this too, is I'm not worthy, or I'm not enough.
Yes, absolutely. We see it all the time in very different ways, especially I'm not enough, especially that, because
Especially.
no, and not just for women. There are a lot of men have the same things, depending on childhood experiences, depending on that. But for a lot of women as well, that I'm not enough, because we're always trying to be someone else. In today's life, young children are taught, they grow up with trying to be better than someone else, their siblings, their friends, whoever it is. So you develop this belief that I'm not enough.
That's right. It's such a dominating one too. I have yet to meet a person that I've worked with. I think there's very few people I've met in the world who aren't contending with that to some degree.
Absolutely. And how does karma or a karmic life review come into that? Because does our karma, and when I talk about karma right now, I'm more meaning past lives, but our karma can also be this life too. So
Yes.
how does that whole karmic life review come into play with our self-limiting beliefs in this life?
I'm so glad you asked me this and that you phrased it that way, because this brings up a personal beef that I have with the past lives. I love past lives and I find them fascinating. I believe in them and I find them very interesting. But here's something that I've always known at a deep soul level is that I have a friend that who would say, she's a very dramatic person, but she would say, in a past life, I was stoned for this, stoned against a wall. And so I can't do it in this life. She's very dramatic in that way. And it always irked me because I know on a deep level, number one, any karma that we have from a past life that's unresolved, we have repackaged it to fit this life. It's here with us already. It's with the person you're dealing with now, or it's with the situation that's here now. So when I hear people trying to bring the past, like this extra past about the stories about being stoned alive or the stories about weddings and things, and it's very dramatic and fun, but at the same time, you're adding an unnecessary layer onto the work that you're here to do. It's already here. You already on your soul contract level repackage the unfinished work, and you met with the souls you needed to meet with and said, okay, this time instead of us being mother daughter, we're going to be rivals so we can work this out, or we're going to flip the script somehow. So what I would like to share with people is, at least from my perspective, I do not believe you need to go digging around in your past life to figure out what's undone. You already brought it here with you in a nice, neat package. And so focusing on your present life is the most powerful way to elicit healing. If you want to heal this, if you want to balance it or clear it, the beautiful thing is you've already made it so easy for yourself by reformulating it into this current life with whatever issues are facing you presently. And all you have to do is address those. And as you do, it clears it down the line. You will shift the past literally by clearing it here. And so I just want to share that perspective, because I know that sometimes when I'm working with people, they bring all this unnecessary story in, and it's okay. I'm excited for you that you have that story. But now let's focus here, because that's where the work is.
It's so true, isn't it? So very true. We tend to get caught up in our past lives when it actually all has come into this life. And I mean, I really believe that as well. You know, if we haven't got anything finalized in other lives, then it does come with us because we've still got lessons to learn.
That's absolutely true.
And I'd love to know, Theresa, for your point of view, what's the difference between a karmic lesson and just a simple life challenge that we all have during every day? I mean, do all our everyday challenges mean that we're settling karma?
This is such a great question, Sophia. And I've been really contemplating this. Thank you for letting me know that this was one of your questions, because I thought, wow, that's a really good point. How do we know which one is more karmic and which one is just the catalyst in front of us that we are to achieve? And I'm not going to pretend that I have the ultimate answer here, because I feel like it varies from person to person. But what I can share is from my own experience. The ones that I would deem as karmic are the ones that feel a little like they've been with me for a while. For example, the things that came up in early childhood that were themes that felt like, as a child, so much is out of our realm of our control, right? And I do feel like we stack the deck for ourselves in a great way. We choose our parents, we choose the families that we come into, and we choose them quite deliberately. So I do believe we start ourselves off with, here you go, right into the stuff, right? If you're a person that needs to work on validating yourself, you may have chosen a family that doesn't give you that, so that you will pursue it for yourself. If you were someone who wanted to really experience love in this lifetime, you may have chosen a family where love wasn't easily given to you, and therefore you had to make a karmic choice. Do I follow suit with what my parents have shown me, or do I lean into the love that I want to experience and actually be that love? So I do feel that many of our karmic lessons start out the gate with us, and those tend to be the ones that take us the most time, because again, at a young age, we don't have all the tools, we don't have all the conscious awareness to really nail those down right away. We have to work on them like throughout our lives. So I do feel like many of our early childhood wounding has to do with the karma that we intentionally set for ourselves. And then I do feel like there are certain relationships. I feel like many of our karmic issues are actually relationship based, because the only real thing here is you and me. We're what's real. Everything else is part of that illusion that we're creating to help understand it. So I do feel like there are certain relationships that are karmic in a way. As far as the catalyst, I feel like that is the catalyst that we're facing. So what I mean when I say catalyst is whatever challenge is here with you at this time, whether it's the fact that your job isn't working and it's falling apart and you need to deal with that, or you're having issues with money. Those are those little challenges. I think they're helping to refine us. They're helping us to work out what our values are, or what tools that are within us that we need to activate and use, whether it's we need to activate our sense of security, or we have to get more creative, or we need to be listening more and be more receptive, whatever it is. I feel like those points, yes, they could have karma for some people, but I feel like it's a challenge that hones us. It's like a fine tuning of who we are. Whereas the karmic life lessons, at least for me, are the ones that linger with you, and your subconscious mind will resurface it often. And that's what I would call a karmic life review process. So for me, that specific process isn't one that you're necessarily going into intentionally. I do feel like there's intentional healing, like you said, where when you're doing deeper introspection and you're looking in, that's intentional. For me, the karmic life review is when your subconscious mind goes, ready, go, and it releases the memory. And you have a choice in that moment of either reliving it emotionally, like in your nervous system, as if it's actually happening, or stepping out of that scene and observing it and trying to see, okay, what is my subconscious mind trying to show me about this scene? What is it that I can now see from a bird's eye view?
Amazing, isn't it? It's amazing what our subconscious mind holds and wants, and is trying to help us, actually, if we allow it, and
Yes.
trying to release some things. It's absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that. And Therese, I'd love to know, from your perspective, what role does intuition play with our whole karmic life review process?
So this is a good one. So again, I feel to successfully move through these moments where the subconscious will bring up an event in your mind. A lot of times our knee-jerk reaction, and this is so true for me too, is to suppress that. Oh, I don't like the way that feels. That was shameful or embarrassing or painful. And our knee-jerk reaction is to try to push that back of the mind. I don't want to see that. If you get caught up in it, what ends up happening is you reactivate it in the nervous system. And so those feelings come back. I feel that intuition comes in when we've done enough mindfulness work. And this is as simple as taking time to meditate, just taking time to be with yourself, where you're starting to pay attention to your own reactivity or response. When you are at least at that point where you can tell if you're reacting or responding, this is when the karmic life review process gets interesting, because now you are aware enough that you can make choices. And at this point is when you can actually start to break it down and go, wait a minute, maybe I'm being shown this not as a form of mental punishment, but rather because, as we've said before, my subconscious mind loves me and is signaling I'm ready to heal this. I am ready to look at it and see something about it. And many times, part of that process is to gain understanding, compassion for yourself and others, and ultimately forgiveness. And when you reach forgiveness, that's when that cycle closes and the subconscious mind goes, check, thank you. We can now file that one as complete.
Another one. Tick that one off the.
Exactly.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Now, as a coach and a medium, a psychic medium, things, you're able to help people to go through this process, a karmic life review.
Yes. So many times when I'm working with people, we're working on the self empowerment. And a big part of that is deeper self trust. So, just like we had talked about earlier, when I said in order to find out your self limiting beliefs, you're going to need to stretch out of your comfort zone. That's where I tend to meet people as a coach and a guide. So, one of the hardest things for us when we're trying to stretch is we feel very alone and very unsure of this new territory we're trying to navigate. And that's where someone like me comes in, where as long as you have your North Star, meaning where you're trying to go, then I can be with you on your journey, help support you, but also guide you through what's inevitably going to come up. And that is those self limiting beliefs, the long held subconscious beliefs of things that come up about, I can't do this because of this, or this is too big for me. I'm not enough. Whatever's coming up, that's where I can come in and guide people consciously through that core memory or whatever's going on there so that I can help them step out of the drama and actually become the observer. And then they can get that information that would help them close that cycle.
Thank you. And for everyone who is watching or listening to today's episode, do click on the links and reach out to Theresa, because we really, well, for me personally, and I'm sure for the rest of the world and for you, Theresa, it's not a nice life if we let these limiting beliefs control it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You remind me, if I can share, and I don't know the exact quote, but by one of the ancient Indian philosophers, Patanjali, when he says that when we step into our power, when we let go of that self-doubt, dormant forces awaken, and we bring ourselves into a world that that we can't even imagine in this limiting belief state.
Absolutely. I cannot tell you, like, even just, I'm looking back at 2014. So that would be 10 years ago. I couldn't imagine getting to sit here with you and talk about these topics, something that is so deeply important to me and that I've had so much passion for, but was so afraid to allow myself to go there. And I feel so blessed that I've managed to break through many of those limiting beliefs and get to have amazing conversations with people like you. So I'm just so grateful to be here with you, but also I'm so grateful that we can break through those limiting beliefs.
You can definitely. And sometimes it takes amazing women like yourself to help other people, because we're not always aware of the limiting beliefs, and even just the words, the power that words have on us that we're not even aware of. So if I could just take a moment, Theresa, just to really honor you, congratulate you, and also honor you for stepping into your power, for realizing your purpose, and to let go of your limiting beliefs that have been holding you back.
Thank you so much. You're going to make me cry. That means a lot to me. Thank you.
I'd love to ask you, if we can go on a little bit personally, is how did you cultivate trust in yourself when you were facing all your self-doubt and your fears and things like that? Did you have an actual process, and a process that you might help other people do too?
Yes. So I have a saying that I like to say, that life is either magical or mundane, and you get to choose. And the first thing I would say I did is I chose magic. And what I mean by that is I put faith in something I couldn't see. And for me, it was my own team and spirit. And I'm very grateful that I stayed connected to them. I have been very blessed to have teachers all along the way who reminded me to stay connected. But in order to activate my own self trust, I had to take that leap of faith that I'm talking into. It feels like I'm talking into the air, but I know you're listening. And I'm looking for proof of that. So I'm going to talk to you and ask you to respond to me. And my team would respond. It would start with they loved using my phone in the beginning. So my phone was always like, if I'd say something that was deeply true, my phone would go, and that was like me. I knew it was them. And then, of course, the numbers, they know I love numerology. And so I would see 44 everywhere. I saw it many times today already. And that was one of the ways that they would confirm that they were there. So it started with little steps. And the first step was I chose to believe. And choosing, as my team tells me, is when you are deciding that something will be, you have moved into 0 point energy, especially if you recognize the source of this power. So source energy, God, universe, however you would like to call it. When you recognize it lives within you, and then you make a decisive decision. So I chose magic. I said, there is magic in the world. There is an entire energy field that's out there, and it's responding and it's hearing me. That was the first little step. And then it would gradually get more and more. And so self-trust, I just want to share with people, many times I think it might be like a light switch that they can turn on and suddenly they have all of it they need. And I would see it as more of a journey. It's a conscious step towards that. I'm choosing to trust myself. I am choosing to trust that the universe has my back and is conspiring in my favor. I choose to trust this is a loving universe. I choose to believe in oneness. I choose to see the good, even though I'm constantly being presented with the opposite, because on the plane that we're on, polarity exists. So of course, as soon as you choose something, the opposite will also appear, not to discredit you, but so that you can really feel that choice. So you really know when you're in love, you really know because you've seen its opposite.
Absolutely. And that is so very true, that we wouldn't know what love is if we didn't know the opposite. We wouldn't know what happiness is if we've never experienced sadness. And the way around, we wouldn't know exactly with that. So thank you so much for sharing that. And again, Flo, just congratulations. It's been wonderful, or it is wonderful to chat with you today. And I'd love to know even more, if we can, is there anything else that you would like to share about any experiences that you've had when you've really worked on your mindset and completed a life review process? What's been some of the experiences?
One of the most powerful experiences I've had is, again, this idea of time. And this might be a little bit out there. So I am just like prefacing that this is going to go very woo-woo for some people. You literally can affect your own past, your current past, with the thoughts you think about it now. You can literally change events in a way. It's a form of like time travel, if you will. And there's this sort of retrograde healing that happens. So when you're in the middle of one of these karmic life review processes, and I find that they're always events that tend to be difficult. It was hard for you to process it at the time it happened. It's hard for you when it comes back up. It's one of those that you want to back down and go, nope, not today. But when you face them, when you go in there and you're willing to look, and the beautiful thing with this karmic life review process, it's very similar to when we actually pass over. We do a karmic life review process when we're on the other side. And the way that we do it over there is we get to be ourselves doing the action, and we get to be the other person receiving that. And then we switch roles and we're them feeling it. And we do that. So we're doing it, but we're doing it over here in our mind. And what we're doing is we're having the event, we're watching it. And what I like to help my clients do is, usually what happens is we go right into the drama. So it's almost like we're right back there. We're saying the words we wish we hadn't said. We're feeling that guilt and shame, and it activates in our body like it's really happening, because in our mind it is really happening. So what the first thing I do is I tell people, put it on stage, now be in the audience and watch. And that, creating that first level of detachment, allows us to go into our observer self. So now, as the observer self, we can watch the drama unfold. We can watch ourselves say the words we regret, and we can see how the other person is reacting. And now, because we're not the actor, but rather the audience, we can observe ourselves and say, there was a lot going on for you that day that you weren't handling so well. This was a hard moment for you. And those words, even though they are not the words you would choose today, you in that moment, I'm giving you the grace. That was the best choice you thought was available. That was what you got. And now, from this vantage point of wisdom, I can see that we would choose differently. And there's the healing, right? I would choose differently. Okay, so therefore I'm not held to this moment anymore. So now I've given myself understanding and compassion that you were doing the best you could. And then we speak the words of forgiveness. I forgive you. I forgive this moment. I see now that that was the best I could do, and I grant myself peace. And in that way, now the play ends and you get to leave the theater and know that you understood why that happened. And I think the final step really is, and I also acknowledge that this version of me who had those words, that she is the one who created who I am today. Because of this choice that I felt so deeply upset with making, I made better choices in the future. And so therefore, not only do I understand, have compassion and thank, but I can appreciate the fact that I got here today because you had this very difficult moment. And when you do that, that version of you, they're still alive inside of you. We're like a Russian nesting doll in a way. And that version finally feels at peace with itself because finally it's forgiven, right? Finally, it's made whole and okay, and it's not being repressed anymore. It's being integrated and accepted and loved. And then again, that creates that sort of retroactive healing, which I do believe can go retroactively to a past life. It could be the thing, that moment that you just needed to bring closure to, that would literally affect time and space in that way. And so I feel like this idea that events from the past are set, they're not, they're still playing out. We have an ability to rewrite even that script, and that can set future versions of ourselves free in ways that we might not be able to perceive in this present moment. But it's like we've lifted something off of ourselves, an unnecessary weight and burden.
That is very powerful. Again, thank you. And I
Absolutely.
totally believe in what you're saying and agree that time is not linear. Our past and present and future is all playing out at the same time, just on different realms and different spheres that we've got no conscious ability in one way to grasp, unless you can go beyond the physical, beyond the consciousness. So thank you so much for sharing that, Theresa. And it's
Absolutely. Oh, may I share with you a funny story about time really quick? I think you might enjoy this. Many years ago, before I started this journey, I would get visited a lot by people in my dreams. So I'd have a lot of contact with guides and stuff in my dreams. And one time, Albert Einstein met with me in my dreams, and he said to me, this, I'll never forget this. He said, "Time is like a cosmic club sandwich." And I said, "Wait, what?" And he said, "Time is stacked on top of itself like layers of a club sandwich." And I said, "Okay." And he said, your conscious mind, where you think you are in time, is like the toothpick that goes through the sandwich. So wherever you stop the toothpick, that's the layer of time you're conscious of. So he said you could pull the toothpick up and down and move through different layers of time. And I've never forgotten that, but I had to share it with you. Cosmic club sandwich.
I love that. That would be an amazing topic, an amazing idea to go into a whole different conversation. Love it. The cosmic time as the cosmic club sandwich. Love that. Thank you so much, Theresa. Now, before we say farewell, is there any other question that I could have asked you? And
Oh my goodness. I really enjoyed our conversation. And I don't know if there's a question. There's so much that I feel very aligned with you on. So I'm excited to have this conversation. I think people listening to this can take it as a starting point, not only for their healing, but we could even consider the fact that if we can go back and heal the past and rectify that and in layers, and it creates this ripple in time. Now imagine what you can do if you project yourself forward in time and see your desired timeline and ask for information to ripple back through time to you right now so that you could take aligned action to move in the direction you desire.
imagine how powerful that is, and I can actually feel that energy. It's incredible. Thank you ever so much. And again, for anyone who's watching or listening today to today's episode, do yourself a favor and reach out to Theresa by clicking on the links below, because you never know what can happen when we start to, heal ourselves, whether it's past, present, or future, when we start to connect with the power of who we really are, then I really believe that those dormant forces will definitely awaken, and life can just become unimaginable of what we can do in our limited state when we remove all those limiting beliefs. Thank you, Therese. Thank you so very much for today's conversation. I have really enjoyed it, and I do look forward to talking to you again very soon.
Thank you so much, Sophia. This has been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode with Therese. We do hope you found the insights shared on Karmic Life Reviews as inspiring and empowering as we did. Remember, every step you take towards releasing limiting beliefs and embracing your true self brings you closer to living a life of freedom and fulfillment. Now, if you enjoyed today's episode, please consider hitting that subscribe button, giving us a like, or visiting us at www.sacredu, that's the letter U, .love, for more valuable resources to support your journey. We are so grateful for your continued support of Sacred You. Your presence in this community is what makes it so special. Together, we are creating a space of love, growth, and connection. So until next time, keep shining your light, and remember, you are powerful beyond measure. Have a beautiful day.